Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of Inside the MBA Mindset, where we unpack the journey of people who have mastered the art of making idea matter. I am Diksha.
Oh, yes. And I'm Adit. Today we are joined by Richa Wahi. She's a business storyteller and communication coach who helps people share their ideas and turn their knowledge into real influence.
Her mission is to make sure brilliant people don't stay hidden behind bland messaging and to turn invisible experts into unforgettable voices. We'll dive into how storytelling shapes career, why most people get it wrong, and what MBA students can start doing today to build a narrative that gets them noticed. Richa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adit. Thank you, Diksha. Very, very happy to be here. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Well, let's start then. So you call yourselves someone who turns mundane moments into memorable narratives. So that's such a powerful line. But what sparked that? Like, how did storytelling become your professional calling?
Uh, so, I've been a writer and a reader of stories ever since I was growing up as a child. I've grown up on a rich diet of stories from my grandparents, which were, of course, eclectic. So, I've heard partition stories a lot. I've heard folk tales that, like we all do. And then I was writing also. I used to write short stories and all. But when I entered the corporate, there was one gap which I noticed. And that was that greatest of the minds, people who had immense talent, they were not able to articulate themselves very well.
Yes.
And at times, when they were talking in presentations, nobody was listening to them. People
Hmm.
used to tune out.
Yes.
And on the contrary, there were people with very, we would say, not ordinary is not the right word, but very okay, average skill set, very interesting communicators.
Yes.
So, what was the secret sauce? I was very intrigued with that. And one more thing which I realized, which was also fortunately good with me, was everybody can't make good conversations, interesting conversations.
Yes.
So, people used to call me that you have the gift of gab, you know, and that you can even make a stone get up and start talking. So the idea was that there was something people like me and others were doing that others were not only hearing us but remembering what we were saying. What
Okay.
was that? And that was this ability to frame what we are trying to say into a very interesting and impactful narrative.
Okay.
And there I got the idea that maybe this is a skill which is, of course, should be there with everybody.
Yes.
And secondly, this is not with everybody. So it's as much nature as nurture. So this can be nurtured.
Yes.
And that's when I started working. But I would say COVID was a blessing for me in the sense that when the outside world was all silent and I got that time with myself, I realized that this is my calling and I should start doing something on this. So that's how Tales That Spin was born in the year 2020. Yeah.
That's really fascinating to know your journey, how it developed from childhood till your career.
Mhm.
So most of us think that storytelling is for marketers or advertisers, not for managers or consultants. So how did you realize that the skill was transferable and it could be turned into a superpower in any domain?
So you're very right when you say, because when we see stories, most of the brands are using stories to sell their product or service. We still remember Asian Paints Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, and we like those stories. And
Yes.
in fact, if you see Diwali is a time when every other brand will have a story around Diwali, because one, they want to promote their product. This is a time people have a lot of spending happening, and secondly, because Diwali is a very important festival in India, so everybody wants to take a use benefit from that.
Yes.
But you're right. I think everybody needs storytelling, particularly consultants, particularly people who work in a data-driven, dry world. I call it the data-driven, dry world because
Hmm.
what are numbers? Do you remember numbers? If I okay, you guys are from an MBA college, and if I start asking you simple formulas of different mathematical concepts, you will not remember. But if I ask you, okay, Adit, do you know when the tortoise and the rabbit ran in a race, who won? And you'll say the tortoise.
Yeah.
Something which you heard when you were just a toddler, you remember.
Yes.
Huh? But you would not remember the numbers, the formulas to the T. So we are wired to remember stories. Fortunately, we talk in stories.
Yes.
We communicate in stories. But people who are dealing with data day in and day out, numbers. So how my journey forayed into this and how I realized that, this storytelling is particularly for them is, we got a, uh, request for doing a storytelling workshop for one of the clients who day in and day out deal with numbers. And the challenge was that the presentations were not reaping great. In fact, people were skipping the presentation on some pretext or the other. And overall cohesiveness in the team was lacking.
Okay.
So we did an experiment which worked. So we took all the data. So, for example, they had a lot of data about, these are two retail chains located adjacent to each other. One is doing great business, one hardly has footfalls. So we took all the data and we introduced some characters whom we call Mrs. Susie. Okay, for
Okay.
example.
Hmm.
And using that character as a protagonist, we weaved a story around that. How does Mrs. Susie buy her groceries, her things? What is her retail management in the mind, and how is she making purchase decisions? What happened was that by the halfway through the workshop, half the people were relating with Mrs. Susie, the other half started seeing themselves as Mrs. Susie. So that central character, first it broke the ice, it brought some interesting intrigue and element. And third, the numbers, which were very mind-boggling, they just got okay, and people started accepting the numbers.
Uh,
So that experiment kind of worked, and that day I realized that if you wrap the data with a narrative,
hmm.
you can actually make any presentation very, very interesting. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it was nice to hear. Well, you often talk about the invisible expert. People
Hmm.
are amazing at what they do, but still struggle to be recognized for it. And why do you think this happens so often, especially in corporate or academic meetings or gatherings?
One, because we are not authentic when we talk. We are not very comfortable in sharing our vulnerability. I mean, thank God for Brené Brown, who's brought this word vulnerability into the central context. But we were not very comfortable, especially people at the leadership positions. And secondly, because our system, right from the time you take admission in the kindergarten till the time you reach the MBA and other levels, it is always appreciating or rewarding the performance.
Okay.
Okay. 90% of the people who might be doing an MBA or any professional course, are they really clear about the why behind doing it? No. We, till today, most of us, including me, maybe, I'm not saying I'm some, God woman, but we follow the herd mentality.
Hmm.
We want to be safe. We want to do things which give us security. We're not
Yes.
clear about the why. And when we talk, we're not clear about sharing our vulnerability. We're not authentic with ourselves before being authentic with others. So I
Yes.
think that is a problem people have. Once you are clear about the why you're doing this, why you're in this organization, why are you doing this role, why are you doing this MBA, why are you doing this particular thing. The why, if it is clear, it takes care of the how and the
Yes.
rest of the things. So that's my bit.
Okay, so in the MBA world, like everyone is trying to stand out, uh, which really resonates. So, what is that one misconceptions that MBA students have about personal branding or stories telling?
A lot of people think that having a profile on LinkedIn and places like LinkedIn is personal branding. A lot of people think that, more certifications, if they are a part of my resume, that is my personal branding. Personal branding is what people talk about you when you're not in the room. Okay. In today's time, especially on places like LinkedIn, personal branding, if you have a profile and a proper profile, an impactful profile, which gives a clear idea about your why and what you're doing, what is your purpose, it's like a digital footprint. And the footprint should be such that it leads people to you. So, for example, when you would have narrowed down on me as a guest, the first thing you would have done was to see my LinkedIn profile. What is she doing? What is she bringing to the table? So imagine now if I'm the interviewer and you're the two students whose biodatas or profiles are coming to me, and if you have a LinkedIn profile which talks about your overall persona, what is Adit doing? If I remove the designation, if I remove the MBA, if I remove the bachelor's degree, what are you bringing to the table? What is your purpose? That is personal branding. Okay, and that should be very very clear with your LinkedIn profile. And but people think, oh, I have a profile, that's enough. No, you have to invest time on it. You have to ensure that it clearly projects what you bring on the table. What are your thoughts? What are your aspirations? Unfortunately, ever since Shark Tank has aired in India, I see a lot of founders sharing their personal stories of failure, how they built the brand, what the challenges they faced. So why are they doing that? They have funding, they're doing very well. Why are they doing it? Because they want people to know that who is the face behind the brand and what has been his journey. And
Mm.
many a times we may not connect with the brand, but we connect with the person and his emotion.
Yes.
So that helps. Yeah.
But for someone who is listening, like it may feel like it's just another LinkedIn profile. So, what's the first small step to start crafting a narrative that actually differentiates them, like apart from just another LinkedIn profile to someone who is different from them?
I would say share your stories very authentically, you know, whatever you're doing. So whatever Adit is doing, which is encompassing the curriculum and encompassing who you are as a person, what I mean, it can be as simple as that, how did you spend your Diwali? What have been your learning regarding something? So it does not have to be always the professional paradigm. So, for example, if you're working in, let's say, the financial sector, but you're a human being,
Yes.
you have more facets in your mind than just finances.
Hmm.
So talk about them, bring out your complete persona through
Okay.
stories, through articles on the LinkedIn, so that people know that what kind of a person you are. What is it that you as a person feel? What is the emotion behind? And
Okay.
that helps in connecting. See, just remember when you started your school, how did you make friends? How did you make okay, he's my best friend or she's my best friend? By sharing your tiffin, by sharing your stories.
Huh.
My mama does this, or my father does this, or my brother brought a toy for me, or my sister did, or my brother hit me. We share our stories, we share our vulnerabilities, and
Huh.
that's how we befriend people. That's how we connect with people. So once you share your stories in terms of what you do, what is your life all about, what are your things, what is it that beyond this designation and beyond this certification that we are so invested in, what are you as a person? Share that.
Yes.
Talk
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, I have also felt that like mostly we experience few things, but I personally failed to recognize why I am doing that or what did I feel after I have done something. So
See, I tell you something. So I work a lot with students, and I feel, I mean, there's something I feel which I want to share. We have armored them so much with our expectations. Okay. Armor means you've seen armors which fighters wear. So you are all armored, including you too, who are students,
mm,
of expectations. Now you've got into IIM. Now you have to have a great job. What is a great job? Nobody defines. What is a great job? A great job, according to me, should be something which brings happiness to you, which should bring spark to you, for which every Monday morning should not feel blue, right? But this nobody is defining. So we
yeah,
have very set scripts. पहले तो हम खुद उन स्क्रिप्ट्स को जीते हैं, उसके बाद we pass it on to our children,
yeah,
कि now you have to follow the script, and the script is very obliterated. That is over. We should not follow it. I'm not saying we have to rebel, but we as a generation, we were not clear probably about our why, so it's the same thing, we pass it on. So we have
mm-hmm.
to take off these armors and sit with ourselves and see who are we and what do we want in life, you know? So that's the point.
Yeah, even I feel that like we are right now in a bubble where like
Bubble.
we want a job and but we don't know how what kind of job we want, like, we are not clear.
And we are always comparing, na? Thanks to social media, that is gone
Yes,
off the
yes.
record. We are always comparing. We have so many choices that we can't sit and enjoy with one. So, for example, if it's my birthday, I have gone out and I've had dinner at a very good restaurant. Okay? I come back, I'm happy till now. I sit in the car, I open the Instagram, and I realize one of my friend, she's dining at a fancier five-star hotel or a restaurant.
Hmm.
There, that very moment, my happiness will take a slide. Oh
Yes,
my God, I should have gone there. So I am first losing connection with the present moment, which I have just enjoyed.
yes,
And secondly, I have, I have immediately said, so oxytocin is now replaced with dopamine, the stress. कि मैं वहां क्यों नहीं गई? Why didn't I do that? So we are constantly comparing ourselves. We are constantly in a fix. We are constantly in the middle of choices. And that is something we should not do.
yes, yes, yes.
I think what you said is so correct. Like in this fast-paced world, we are always
Yes.
moving, and
We are
like we should.
always uh, trying to compare. कि इससे
Yeah.
अच्छा क्या हो सकता था? इससे better. So if I've gone to say Goa, somebody sitting in Maldives, I say, oh, I should have gone to Maldives. So there is no end to it. There is no finity to it. Ki, okay, now I am happy. The minute you are happy, there is something else which comes up and you realize, oh, this is not something which I want to do.
Yes, yes.
So we're doing that constantly.
I
So
think
that's the point.
this story would be a good thing for our listeners to like pause and reflect on their journey and come up with a
Yes. Because we are all doing it, including me.
Hmm.
Including me.
yeah.
We're all doing it. Wherever we reach a certain point, there is someone standing with something bigger and we want to reach there. Then when we reach there, we want something else. Then when we reach there, we want something else. So that जिसको हिंदी में हम बोलते हैं मृग तृष्णा, वो कभी खत्म ही नहीं होती है. वो लोग होगी भी नहीं, because we will continue moving. We will never stop and enjoy what we have. This is a problem, not just with your generation, with almost everybody. Because, so for example, if you look at Zomato, what has Zomato done? The 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 joy of eating food. So I have passed my exams eating Maggie and coffee made at home at night. Today, if my daughter's preparing for something and she wants to order, she fails to make a choice because there's so many choices at every time in the night or the day. So too much choice can also be a problem, because we fail to enjoy what we have. We are not stopping at any moment to reap the benefits. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a problem.
So coming to your zero to hero methodology that you have developed, can you walk us through that? What is it?
So first thing is, again, I'll say authentic storytelling. Okay. Rewiring the narrative within your mind, because most important communication that we have all the time is with ourselves. So rewire the narrative. How can you do that? I mean, if the narrative that is there, which is stuck in your mind, if it is debilitating, if it is putting you down, you change it. Work on your belief system, work on your mindset. So that is narrative transformation is one, authentic storytelling is one, comfortable with yourself and your vulnerability. And of
Hmm.
course, focusing on the bigger picture, the macro picture, and being very clear about the why. There is a movie which had come, whose scene I always quote, 12th Fail.
Ah.
So in that movie, the last scene, the very famous scene, when he's asked that if you fail this time, this is your last attempt, what will you do? So he says, Ki, my dream is not to become the IS. My dream is to change the system through this. If I'm not able to become the IS, I'll go and become a teacher. Now, what is this? When you do this in an interview, you're throwing the ball back in the interviewer's court by
Hmm.
saying that I do not have performance anxiety, I have purposeful presence. My purpose is very clear. If plan A fails, I have plan B or plan C or plan D. And the demeanor he has, a very quiet composure that
Hmm.
can belittle any interviewer, let me tell you. So that's a strategy. And that's another thing which I tell people how to use storytelling. Use it as a strategy. It's a brahmastra. Use it. Now, what is Brahmastra? Once used, it will kill the enemy, but you should know how to use it. So you should know how to craft the narrative. It's not something storytelling does not mean you pick up a story and you narrate it. That's not storytelling. Crafting a narrative which is in line with the context is very, very important. And if you do that, then you're a storyteller.
Yes.
So you talked about belief system and creating a story. Can you, like, we as students, we get so wrapped up in everything, like we can't be, we don't know what our own belief system is. So can you like give us some tips to develop our own belief system, develop our own story?
See, first of all, every time you're trying to, I'll take it like this, that there's one storyteller that I've always followed, and his approach is what I always loved, and that is R.K. Narayan. I've grown up reading his books, okay?
Okay.
Famous Malgudi Days writer.
Okay.
What I've realized is that if you can keep your narrative very, very simple, and you can find the extraordinary within the everyday life, then your purpose is clear. Okay. Then your job is done. So, for example, as a student, every one of you is preparing for exams, for interviews, for placements. Everyone wants to crack it in one go. Everyone wants a dream job. What can be your differentiator and what can be your strategy? So, strategy is that every time you try and answer something, let's say you've been asked, okay, tell me a challenge you faced, tell me your failure story. Try to include the emotional component into it and what has been your learning from it. Okay. Simply saying, oh, I come from this background, I had a troublesome childhood, I did this, I did that. That is not true. You have to tell them, okay, I fell, but I got up and
Got
this
up.
was my learning, and infuse micro stories to show the emotion, that yes, I felt shame, I felt miserable, I felt left out, I felt jealous that all my peers got placement in the first go. I was the loser. I felt like a loser. Because always remember, the person who's on the other side of the table is also a human being, and he has also passed through these things to reach this level.
Yes.
So share your micro stories, share your emotion, share your vulnerability, make it to the point. Kahani mein kahani mat sunao. Bring it to the point. Follow the pyramid principle. That okay, this is something. This was the challenge. This was the choice I had, and this is the outcome I got. So problem, tension, resolution, whatever framework you use, keep it simple, keep it to the point. Use micro stories, add emotion, keep it authentic. Don't show yourself as some superpower or something, but again, always focus on the scar, not on the wound. Scar means that you healed, you had a learning. So focus on that.
So what I learned from this is like we tried to hide our weak spots or the mistakes that we did, but instead we should own up to it and uh,
Yes,
like
but this is a tightrope walk. Okay, so vulnerability should not means oversharing.
Yes.
So
yeah.
sometimes sharing every weak spot can also diminish your CV. Very cleverly you have to share and
Mm.
always focus on the learning. So, okay, fine. A lot of people in MBA colleges, sometimes they are repeating a term one or term two. So when you talk about that, show them that this happened because of, say, some illness or something, whatever. But I came back stronger. The comeback is always stronger than the setback. So talk about that.
And like we are living in a visual world, like we consume everything so much. So can you give us something that that could help us with visual storytelling that we can use in our resume or LinkedIn?
In LinkedIn, yes, you can. So if you're writing a story, you can use images. A lot of people these days use their personal images. A lot of people use Chat GPT images, Gemini images. So that is something that you can always do. Some people use very out of the box artistic images, painting, which is clearly hinting on to that. Visual storytelling in your CV, I don't think so. You can use much, but as a storyteller, you should have the ability that when you're narrating a story or when you're narrating an incident, it should be so graphic that the person can imagine in the mind, ki, okay, what would have happened, that kinds.
And
And
okay,
Yes.
Diksha, you continue.
yeah, so like Can you share some biggest mistakes that you think people make in their LinkedIn's or interviews?
I have a problem with people who say, I'm passionate about this. What do you understand passion? What is passion? Passionate, okay. If you have to find and search your passion, then the meaning is lost. I'm passionate about learning. I'm passionate about this. It takes time. Okay. And
Mhm.
whatever is, nobody is passionate about learning. Learning is a bigger world. So we use these terms very, very colloquially and very easily. So I have a problem with that. So that is one. Secondly, when people say, okay, I think out of the box, have you defined the box? What is the box? Where is the box? What is out of the box? If you are living in America, then Indian approach is out of the box for you. If you're living in India, then American approach is out of the box for you. But who's defining the box? The box is changing every minute.
Yes.
So again, when we say, ki, okay, I'm passionate about this, I'm this, we have to be very clear. Passion is something uh, so I'm passionate about writing. So if I'm about to go to sleep and I read something somewhere, or I've seen a something on a Instagram or LinkedIn, मैंने कुछ पढ़ा, and I get a story idea, I will get up and write it because it's my passion. Because I will not then feel कि अरे 2 बज गए, I'm writing. When will I sleep? When will I wake up? So when you lose that rhythm on your own happily, that is passion. You know. So but we use these terms very, very just like that because we've read it. So
Mhm.
it's okay. I mean, I would be very, if I'm an interviewer and if somebody comes and tells me ki, I don't know what my passion is because everything right now feels very boring, I'll be very happy because at least it's an authentic answer. So as an interviewee, if you have a very real answer, I think it will be relatable on its own. Be real, relatability will follow. That's what I say.
Yes. Let's move beyond individual uh, branding. Storytelling is also a leadership skill. So, how does it show up in the way leaders communicate vision or like drive their teams, or like how they motivate, how they can motivate their team or employees?
I think if a leader is empathetic, if he's not just talking about performance, but presence and purpose. So we don't need polished leaders, we need human leaders, present leaders. And I always quote the example of Indra Nui. She's one of the most empathetic leaders in the sense that she has changed the narrative from performance to presence and purpose. You know,
Okay.
so if you have that kind of an authentic presence, and if you have uh, you know more than polish, you are real. You talk about the challenges, you acknowledge the challenges the team is facing, and you acknowledge the emotion in the room. So I have a very famous, I'm saying famous because I feel it is getting famous, my own framework which I call the heart framework. Now the heart framework talks about empathy at its core. you know yes, we have to talk about targets, yes, we have to talk about profits, yes, we have to talk about that why certain systems are failing, why the growth is not happening. At least acknowledge the effort, acknowledge the fact that there is anxiety and pressure in people, and acknowledge the fact that they are trying. So appreciate the effort rather than just rewarding the success. you know
Okay.
if we can move to that through storytelling. Now how can you do that through storytelling? By sharing your own stories, by by acknowledging that, okay, we've had also been through this, and mentoring the people. Because once you realize that you're all together in this as a team, then possibly it cannot happen ki, okay, you leave the performance pressure on others and you are just waiting ki, bhai, kyun nahi ho raha, kyun nahi ho raha. So if you give them this oneness, ki, okay, we're all in this together, we have to lead, we have to take care of this, we have to achieve this. I think, and if empathy is at the core, I think anything is possible. I don't understand one thing. How can you tell somebody to go and please the external customer when the internal customers are also, they're not having the trust factor with the leader?
Yes.
So I think building a very psychologically safe team is very, very important. And that is the hallmark of a great leader. They always say fish stinks from the top. So if something wrong is happening, something really, really toxic is happening, if your leader, if your boss does not trust, then the team will also become like that. If the boss has a problem with only rewarding success, then the team will also follow the same route. So everything lies in the hands of the leader, the person at the top, you know.
Yes,
So
yes,
whatever route they take, the rest will follow.
yes, yes, yes.
That is so true for the aspiring MBA students who want to be great leaders in the future. Can you help us with any skills that MBA students should now work on to be the leader? Like how do we learn to be a storyteller? How do we share our own
I
stories
think I
with
think
others?
leadership is an everyday, every minute job. Leadership is not something that you can celebrate through slide decks, through presentations. Leadership is not something that can, okay, you have one day, that day you reward the leadership thing, and the rest of the day you go on like that. Every act of yours, if it is, in sync with authenticity and real and relatability, that makes you a leader. If you talk about trust, then you have to first start trusting people. You can't
Mm.
be just saying things and then going the other way. That is one. But before you move to a leadership position, and I don't feel there is any designation as a leader. Everybody is a leader in their own way. I feel a janitor who's responsible with cleaning of say 10 washrooms and 10 corridors. I think he's a leader, because if he's excelling in his job, if he's doing his job very, very authentically, then he's a leader in my sense. You don't leadership does not wait for designations. That's one. Now, what are the skills MBA students need to have no matter what they want to do in life further? First things first, communication. Very, very, very important. As much nature as nurture. When you enter an interview room, your mind, your mindset, and your maturity, all three are judged in that 40-45 minutes. No, nowadays, nobody is looking, okay, what is his CGPA score? Oh, she's got 3 certification. Oh, she came first. No, they want a candidate who can be part of their team from day one. So, what are they looking at? Skill sets. I started as a plant molecular geneticist in Delhi University. What am I doing today? Storytelling. What was my journey? From there, I entered a search firm. I was a recruiter. From there, I was selling international education with NTU Singapore. And today,
Yes.
I'm into storytelling. You may start with a technical firm, a consulting firm. You may end up selling confectionery. What will help you? Your skill sets, because they are the only common factor. What are they? Great communication, verbal and written. There's no running away from that. You have to master it. And I always say, don't start 2 days before your interview. Master the art of communication in structured environments, so that when the time comes where you have just one performance to make, you give it flawless. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. That's my go to line. Okay, number one. Number two, adaptable. Are you ready to restart if
Mm.
everything goes away? Are
Mm.
you ready to relearn, unlearn, learn as many times as possible? Adaptability. Charles Darwin told us thousands of years ago, survival of the fittest. Please remember that. If you want to evolve in the ever changing VUCA world, you have to be adaptable. Two. Number three, stay curious. Continue your learning from multiple sources. ऐसा नहीं है कि financial management कर रहे हैं तो सिर्फ finance. Be your eyes and ears open for everything around you. So stay curious. Fourth, most importantly, don't take personal branding lightly. Connect with as many people as possible on LinkedIn. Develop your personal brand. Talk about the things. See, because you don't know the person on the other side of the table, what vision he has for you. Maybe you are thinking, okay, I'll just join them at level two, and he's already seeing you as a leader. So give your performance so flawless that, as I always say, that you might go auditioning for a character role, but you end up getting the hero's part. So give your flawless performance. So adaptability, stay curious, communication, focus on personal branding. And fifth, and the most important thing which we all forget is dress for your part. Your Body language, your executive presence is very, very important.
Yes.
We forget about that. 93% of the communication that happens is non-verbal. Before you open your mouth, 93% communication you've already done. So please take executive presence very, very seriously, I would say.
And how was your journey? Like, I can see a lot of transition or diversification in your journey.
Yes.
How did you
Yes.
get to know that, okay, I can continue with storytelling, or I have now I can leave this field, or I'm ready to.
Storytelling was more or less serendipity, you know. Storytelling discovered me rather than me discovering storytelling. But with every detour that I took, you know, I realized that I need to be, moving forward. So if you ask me to describe, if I ever write my autobiography or somebody writes about it,
Mm,
and he asks me what are the three words that define you, I would say grit, agility, and consistency. So I was always at things. So today, when I stand in front of students, I realize that my first experience of being an academician, doing research in the lab, standing in front of college students, it's helping me now. You know, everything that you do in your life, every part you play, you have learnings, and you never know where you apply them. So every experience taught me things, skill sets, which are which I'm using on my in my current role. So yes.
and we talked about leadership. So like personally I feel leadership is all about like 60 or 70 to 80% it's natural, and remaining 20-30% you can build upon it. So is it right, or some things can be built up later? Like, if I'm a 40-30 or 40% leader, but I want to become a successful leader, then I can build upon it, or is it like
What is your
difficult?
definition of a successful leader? Who do you envision a successful leader as? For most of my, if you ask me, my mother is a very successful leader because the way she's navigated the house and a very pushy job, she's a leader in the truest of the sense. So, what is a successful leader according to you? First, you define that. And then see how far you are from there and what is it that you need to do. What is a success? See, that's what I say. The parameters have to be yours, the script has to be yours.
Okay.
I want to get a good job. What is a good job? Oh, universe is not listening to me. I want a good job. What is a good job for you? A good job may be something for somebody, and a good job may be a very pushy job, high on target for person A, and a good job may be a simple job wherein you have fixed timings and you have certain growth parameters. That should be so. Your definition of successful good has to be first clearly defined. And
Okay.
I feel leadership is as much nature as nurture. You can work at it, you can develop it, and you are developing every minute of your life.
And like right now, me and my all like we all the students are right now in the process of summer internships, and some of them are in the final placement process. So can you give us some guidelines, or like how we can continue with the interviews, like how we should be?
First of all, 93% is non-verbal. So first of all, work on your body language.
Okay.
Okay. How you enter the room. That's your silent pitch. Okay. I don't know, but I'm a big Shah Rukh Khan fan. So
Okay.
always watch the way he uh, you know, takes on the stage, how he walks, everything. So when you enter a room, the way you walk, the way you sit, the way you say good morning, your expressions, your tone, your pace, how are you speaking? Are you rushing through the sentences or are you taking pauses? All these things. So, first of all, work on these parameters. Second of all, instead of giving very cliched, flat, forgettable answers, try to give them a very clear idea of what you did, why you did, and what was your learning. Focus on that. So
Okay.
if somebody asks you, okay, what was your last job or what was your last internship? So you
Hmm.
say, my last internship was with an organization A and I had three learnings. Leave on that. Let them ask, okay, three learnings. Okay, what were they? So continue like this, you know.
Okay.
Like there used to be a game we used to play called Spinner Yarn, that one person is given a sentence
Hmm.
on a rainy Friday night. The other person has to make the next sentence, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. We used to call it spinner yarn. So similarly, always leave your sentence in such a way that the person is prodding to ask you, okay, what happened? Okay, why this? Why that? Focus on your learnings. Don't give a very cliched answer. Okay, what have you learned? So give a micro story that, this happened. So I'll give you an example. If somebody asks you, tell me about your failure moment. Let's say, Adit, tell me about your failure moment. Or if I'm Adit, how will I answer? So I would say, I once underestimated the research for a paper. Just the day before, I realized I'm not going to make it. I've lost the time. At 2 a.m., I wrote an honest apology to my professor. I owned up my mistake. The next morning, when I walked into the classroom, I thought every eye was looking at me. Okay. I felt a lot of shame, but I had a learning that the sooner you own up your mistakes, the lighter you feel, you know, because you're not jostling with yourself. You're not trying to hide anything. You've owned up.
Yes.
And now I do not miss any deadlines, not because I fear failure, because I realize that discipline and responsibility, if taken in the beginning, they set you free. And you actually, all the stress and the anxiety that I had to undergo for all these nights, you free of that. So now it's inbuilt in my system. Nobody has to make me realize it. So this is a story where shame as an emotion played a very important role in teaching you something which you will always remember. So always try and give your answers with these nested anecdotes or micro stories where the person sees this is exactly what would have happened, and try and bring
Okay.
that emotional connect. So that's part two. Keep your communication very clear, very sharp. Always, always, always try to use these quotes and these analogies and metaphors. So if somebody asks you, "Okay, what is it that you're doing?" You should be able to explain it so simply that somebody from a non-technical, let's say you are in a technical field and I'm a non-technical person, I should also be able to understand.
Yes.
So they say if you can explain what you're doing to your a 10-year-old, then you are successful. So
Yes.
focus on that. Keep it
Okay.
simple, keep it straightforward, follow the pyramid principle, the most important thing in the beginning, and then give the story behind, ki, "Acha, this has happened, that happened." Focus on sharper, clearer points.
Okay.
Yeah. And keep your energy, always channelize the inner, stronger version. Always tell yourself that I'm capable and I have value to offer. Even if you failed, let's say, I'm sorry, but even if somebody has failed in, say, 3 placement interviews, don't carry that loser narrative. Try to bring in the stronger narrative. Keep talking to yourself. How do you build a belief system? Read some great books, which talk about building a belief system, and try to focus that. Try to see everything in the world is temporary. So, nothing, I mean, any interview, any job, it's not the only parameter of success for you. And again, if you're clear about your purpose, then you will reach it through plan A, B, C, D, whatever. Yes.
Okay, Richa, so let's switch gears. This is our rewrite your story round. Quick questions and like a rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question is one cliche in corporate communication you wish would disappear.
Think out of the box. Where's the box? And we are all a team. We are all a family. No, it's not true. Yeah.
A storyteller you admire and why?
R.K. Narayan, hands down. Because if you read his stories, simplicity at its core, finding meaning in everyday life, extraordinary things spoken in a very ordinary communicative language, and a lot of emotion, human emotion. So, yes. And if you ask me, a storyteller in the technical space that I admire was Steve Jobs, because he has actually revolutionized the way somebody should go on the stage and talk about their products. So, if you see the speech where of the launch of Apple iPhone in 2007, that's a masterclass in storytelling. I always quote it. Be it his body language, which is very relaxed, be it the way he's using humor, be it the way he's bringing the point. Nobody can say that he's a technical, maestro. He's a storyteller, and he said that the most important person in the world is the storyteller. So, Hands down, he's the one. Yes.
The next question is, if your life were a book, what would the title be?
She dared to live on her own terms.
Yeah, we can see
She
that.
dared to live on her own terms. Yes. I have defied norms like at so many places, and I'm so proud of it because at the end of the day, I want that anytime if my story is narrated, at least people learn that, this is how you live and this is how you show grit and determination. And I think I always wanted to create a life that my child, my daughter's proud of, and the way I look up to my mother, she should be able to look up to hers. So yes, this would be. She dared to live on her own terms.
You only said daughter. Your son can also feel proud of you.
Yes, but I don't have a son. I have a
Okay, okay,
daughter.
okay.
I have a single child. She's a daughter. So anybody, I mean, all my children who I teach, who have taught, they're all my children. So they should be able to, you know, um, feel proud and take inspirations because I feel stories are not just stories. Our stories are sometimes beacon of hope and courage for many others.
Hmm.
So at least it should be like that. Yeah.
Next question is, one thing that MBA students should literally stop saying in the interviews.
I'm passionate about this, that, let it be. I mean, I'm telling you, if I'm an interviewer, so give real answers. Don't, I always say, be real, relatability will follow. Something like, they say in that movie, Three Idiots, no?
Yeah.
काम करो कामयाबी आगे पीछे. So be real. जो आप genuine, of course, I'm not saying give very out of the box, unconventional answers. Of course, we have certain norms we have to follow, but be real. If when I was your age, I didn't know what my passion was. I was also following. I wanted to be safe. I wanted to do something which would land me a great job, a great career, good money. So my parameters were also the same, and I was very confused. So confusion is also good because कौन confuse होता है? The person who's thinking about options. The person who's not thinking will never be confused. So there's no need for everybody to say the same answer. You can say that I used to think music is my passion, but I'm still very confused and I'm trying to discover that. And life is a long journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a long journey. So in this journey, probably I will find my passion. I found my passion at 40th year of my life when I blew candles on the 40th birthday cake. That day I realized that this all what I was doing, I didn't want to do it. This was all so boring, so bland, because this is not my calling. And there's a beautiful thing which Naval Ravikant says. He's a great author I really admire. That do something which you're flawless at and productize it. These are the only two rules in life you need to follow. So this realization, this epiphany happened in the 40th year of my life that I'm good at storytelling. I'm good at creating conversation. I can help people who struggle with that and I can productize it. I can make money out of it. This came after having done my MPhil in genetics, my MBA, done jobs. So there is no pressure to find your passion at the 25th year of your life. People take time.
Well,
Yeah.
there is common quote among the MBA students like "fake it till you make it."
Yeah.
And is it like easy to identify if someone is faking, or if someone is very good at faking it, then interviewer won't find that. Or
It depends. So if let's say I'm faking about a huge business empire, obviously I'll be caught.
uh,
But if I'm saying that, okay, fine, I love to do this, I love to create conversations, I can help you with communication. So fake इतना करो कि भाई मतलब वो थोड़ा सा हो, थोड़ा सा exaggerate आप कर सकते हो, but don't go chalk and cheese. And authenticity का मतलब, again, I'm not saying you have to do vulnerability का oversharing and things like that. Authenticity means this is what you bring on the table, this is what value you can offer, and this is what maybe is a spot where you're working on. So very recently, a student approached me on LinkedIn and he said, "Ma'am, I have a problem with English language, and my English is not very good. And I know this is one thing because of which I will not land a job." So I just told him two things. That first of all, not knowing a language means that you know some other language. Okay.
Yes.
Right? Unfortunately or fortunately, every communication across the globe is happening in English. So we can't run from that. But you can turn your vulnerability into your superpower by telling them something what they ask, and tell them that I know my English is not great. You might find my vocabulary very, very basic. I may have made a grammatical error or two. But you know what? I've taken this as a challenge and I'm working on it. But what I'm really good at are my skill sets, you know. So I feel English is something I can work upon. Skill sets and my mindset, they are flawless. And that is why I feel I can do this job better than anybody in the world. Simple. So
Uh,
before they point out, you tell them that I'm working on it. Yes, I would have made a grammatical error or two. My English, my vocabulary is very, very basic. But you know what? Taking it as a challenge. I'm working on it. And maybe a year or two later, you will see a change. You see. And the fact that I'm not good in English, and when I see others speaking and even laughing at me, I've stopped taking this shame personally. And every time they laugh at me, I open the dictionary and read a new word. So I'm kind of, using it as my fuel,
mhm.
right? When a rocket is thrown in the sky, what does it do? There is a propulsion velocity, as much physics I remember. So what is it? It pushes the fuel push the vapors push it down, and that's how the rocket goes up. So there has to be something which is pushing you down before you reach the threshold gravity or velocity, whatever. So not everything can be positive. It is the pain. They say no. It is the thunder is not helping the flowers to grow. It is the sun and the rain together. So you need certain negative experiences also, because sometimes they act as the biggest motivators for you to achieve something.
Yes.
So don't take everything personally, and accept your weakness and work on it. Simple. Yes.
So, Richa, I think we are at the end of our podcast. I think our listeners this podcast would have given them some time to think about,
I hope so. I hope so.
yeah, and how to build their own individual brands, reflect upon how to make their own story be authentic, and how to be a leader, and how to start working on it from now. So, would you like to share where could our listeners reach out to you
Yes.
on social media?
LinkedIn is my universe. Richa Wahi. I'm available on LinkedIn. I have a website also, which is also there, www.talesthatspin. That is as in DAT, Tales That Spin,
Uh,
TALESDATSPIN.in. Because I feel our narratives have the ability to spin our reality and push us forward. So the best way to reach is through LinkedIn, but I'm there on Instagram also. So I can share that with your viewers. If you're putting it on Facebook, so I'm also on Facebook, whichever way they want to reach, you know. So I always ended by saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So if they are ready, they'll be able to find me through something or the other. So yes.
yes, it was really nice talking to you. Like,
Thank you so much.
we got to know
L-
about a lot of things.
Yes, yes.
I,
Lovely, lovely interacting with you, and looking forward to more opportunities of connecting with IIM Vizag super soon. So thank
yes,
you so much.
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you, thank you for joining us, Richa, and
Thank
to
you. My
everyone
pleasure.
listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
to everyone listening, your story is your strategy. Don't leave it untold. See you next time on
Yes,
the.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye.